Welcome back to the podcast, or welcome if it's your first time watching. Today we're going to be going over how to get the most out of your pre, intra, and post workout nutrition to maximize muscle growth, performance, and recovery. So if you're after those 1%, if you're someone who's nailing pretty much all the variables to the best of your ability, you got your nutrition down, training's on point, and you want to get really the absolute most out of your training, out of your time in the gym, then intra-workout nutrition is something you should definitely not neglect. So in this episode, first, we're going to cover why peri-workout nutrition is important, who it's important for depending on where you're at in your fitness journey and what you're looking to achieve. Then, four goals we're looking to achieve from our intra, and then how exactly we can achieve them. So, why should you even care about optimizing your pre, intra, and post? You see all these pre workout meals, post workout meals, intra workout drinks. Well, very intense training stimulates a bunch of pathways in the body, some anabolic, some catabolic. So, by getting the right nutrients in at the right time, we can basically boost performance, recovery, fat loss, and muscle growth outcomes, all the things that we're after. There's also a bunch of things that happen regarding hormones, neurotransmitters, and micronutrient status when we train, especially when we train hard, which often aren't really thought about. So we want to give our body what it needs to kind of regulate what's going on during very, very hard training. So at what point in your journey does peri-workout nutrition become a priority? Because if you're the first day in the gym, peri-workout nutrition isn't something that's really going to have a drastic impact or something you need to worry about. So we're going to go from minimal importance, the crowd that doesn't really need to worry about it, to then who would be under medium importance, the people who should start probably thinking about optimizing their peri-workout nutrition, and then the people who absolutely should be maximizing their peri-workout window. First, the groups of people where I'd say you're not quite there yet. There's really no need to spend your money on it, all these supplements. So these are the following people: very overweight people looking to lose weight who don't have extreme physique goals. Maybe they're content getting down to hanging around a healthy 15% body fat, but have no aspirations to look overly impressive. Just like a nice, healthy physique. Next group, beginners. Say they're in the first 1 to 6 months of training. There isn't really a huge need for it. Your ability to train hard and train with accuracy is still very much developing. And then the third group would be people who don't have extreme muscle building or fat loss goals, which I'd assume would not be you if you're someone interested and clicked on this video. So, getting into the intermediate important groups, the people that just probably start to ponder, probably start to think about their intra workout, their peri workout nutrition. And these are the people who want to maximize their results or have a serious goal to develop their physique, whether that be fat loss or muscle gain. Make a serious transformation. Next group that absolutely should care about this is if you train fasted, an intra workout should most definitely be in play there. And the last would be if your workouts exceed 1 hour. Now, who should 100% be on top of their peri workout nutrition? Well, in my opinion, honestly, anyone in a calorie deficit, anyone is going to compete, let's say bodybuilding, combat sports, anything along those lines where any edge you can get to optimize performance and recovery, you take it. And then people who train 2 times a day, again, maybe you're hybrid athletes, you're doing your strength training, you're running, combat sports. I'm definitely going to start training jiu-jitsu probably start of the fall, so definitely going to have intra workouts in play and maximize my peri-workout nutrition during that time too. So let's say you fell into camp 2 or 3. What do we want out of our peri-workout? We have 4 main goals. 1, amino acid availability. 2, glucose availability. 3, hydration. And then 4, we want to tick off those 3 with 0 digestive distress. So we want to break each one of those down. We want amino acid availability for a few reasons. The first being we want muscle protein synthesis to exceed muscle protein breakdown. We want improved hydration, which amino acids like glutamine and glycine can help by increasing the rate at which we absorb electrolytes. Next, why do we want glucose availability? Well, that's going to be our body's primary fuel source for not only muscle, but also our nervous system, which is what's responsible for actually recruiting our muscle fibers. So having a fuel source during training is also huge. especially in a deficit, because your body will use the glucose that we're giving it in the bloodstream first before tapping into muscle glycogen. And carbs also play a big role in hydration, carbohydrate, and have many benefits being placed in the post workout as well. So the anabolic window is actually very real when it comes to carbohydrates. Like, is the anabolic window a myth? Well, when it comes to carbohydrates, when we eat carbs, they end up as glucose in the blood once they get just digested. In order to get this glucose into the cells, we need channels for the glucose to flow through to get from in the blood into the cells. These channels are called SLGT1 transporters, and they usually hang out inside the cytoplasm of the cell. None of that is extremely relevant, but in order for the transporter to be active, it must first translocate and bind to the cell membrane. Now, insulin is what causes this to occur. So, as insulin binds to the receptor, it will cause the SLGT1 transporter to bind to the cell membrane, leading to an influx of glucose into the cell. But muscle contraction also causes the transporters to translocate to the cell membrane as well. So, post resistance training, we can actually store excess carbohydrates in the muscle cell in the absence of insulin. And during this 2 to 3 hour window post training, anabolic window, we also have higher production of glycogen synthase, meaning our ability to synthesize glycogen from glucose is increased. So, along with providing our nervous system and muscles fuel, improving our hydration, improving mTOR signaling, taking advantage of everything I mentioned post workout, muscle glycogen is also massively important because when we have, let's say, low muscle glycogen or blood glucose, we get supraspinal fatigue as well as the increased rate of perceived exertion of exercise. Basically, the weights feel heavier than they should be, than they otherwise would, both of which will decrease the ability to activate our high threshold motor units and expose our muscle fibers to high levels of mechanical tension, which is the most anabolic thing we can do. So that's for glucose availability. That's why we want carbs. Okay, so we know we want amino acid availability, glucose availability, and we want to be optimally hydrated without any digestive distress. So what do we eat pre, intra, and post to tick all of those boxes? Starting with our pre-workout meal, which we want to consume about an hour to 90 minutes pre-training. Again, meal timing gets more specific as the level of your goals get more extreme. We want around a 1-to-1 ratio of protein and carbohydrates depending on your daily caloric intake. If you're eating a massive amount of carbs, then you want to keep protein around 35 to 45 grams and run your carbs up. I'd say cap it around maybe 150, depending on how you feel eating that many carbohydrates before you're training. In that pre-workout meal, we also want a small amount of fat, if any. Some people prefer none. And we want it to be low in fiber as well because both fat and fiber slow down digestion. So, well, some food sources, a lean source of protein, an easily digestible carb source that sits well with you. This could be chicken, rice, very bodybuilder like, could spice up a little bit. Or you could go cream of rice and whey. This could be protein source than some sort of fruit, raw honey. I'd go lesser on the fruit just because of the fiber content. It could be a shake. Then closer to your training, you want to use a pre-workout about 20-30 minutes before you train. This is when I take it like a non-stim pump product personally. I use the Gorilla Mine, makes a good one, nitric. It's pretty solid, one of the best I've found. Now, during your workout, intra-workout drink is key here. In it, you want a quick digesting carb powder. There's a bunch of companies that make good ones out there like Carbolin, Gorilla Mine, of course, Momentous, HD, Raw. Basically, any supplement company will have ATP Labs, will have a decent intra-workout carb formulation. And you want 20 to 50 grams of carbs from that powder. You also want 5 to 15 grams of EAAs, some electrolytes like a LMNT pack or a hydration pack, and then 5 to 10 grams of glutamine, specifically for its ability to help us absorb electrolytes at a faster rate. But we also get the bonus of strengthening and potentially some repair of the intestinal wall. And all of this in at least 1 liter of water, ideally 1.5. Then finally, post-workout, ideally within that 1 to 3 hours after you train, you're having a meal that's moderate in protein, a high amount of carbs. Ideally, this is your highest carbohydrate meal of the day to take advantage of that anabolic window that we talked about earlier. Same as your pre-workout meal, kind of want it lower in fat, lower in fiber, so we're not having anything really slow down digestion. And that is how you set up your peri-workout nutrition to maximize muscle growth, performance, and recovery. Kept it very simple there, little explanation at the beginning, some actionable stuff and actual meals to get in, pre, intra, post, and that is a wrap on today's podcast. So if you have any questions, feel free to drop them below. And if you want 30 days of free transformation advice where I go more in depth on how to basically achieve your dream physique, peak health, optimal performance, and energy as fast as possible, you can click the first link in the description for my free 30-day email series. Peace.